And I'm live. Welcome to another episode of Mondays with Miko. I'm back. I'm back. So I hope everybody is having an amazing Monday. Let me just go ahead and share this to a couple places. For those of you that are watching on replay, I really appreciate you watching on replay. For those of you that are watching live, please let's chat in the comments, okay? I really want this to be, like always, informal. And just a reminder, if you come after and watch and replay, I don't go back and check those comments. Usually I don't. So the best way to have an interactive conversation is to tune in. I am going to do my best to stick with Mondays at 6 o'clock. And just to give some folks an update, I know some people have been reaching out after my knee surgery. I'm doing better and better every day. I am so grateful for all the prayers, for all the support. This has been a little bit of an experience for me, but every day I'm doing better. I'm going to therapy. So I'm looking forward to being able to be right back out there at the events. I feel like sometimes I'm just watching the world go by because I want to be there, but I know I can't. And a couple of times in this last week, I actually said I'm going to go, but I knew I shouldn't go. I couldn't go. But anyway, I digress. So hey, look, let me go ahead and put a banner up so you guys know what we're talking about today. I am just so excited again to get right back out there and to have our community conversations. And just to continue to show how we are stronger together, you know? So, my topic for today uh, is what's on the agenda and not the city council agenda. It is the whatever you want, whatever folks are calling it, right? I hear people say that there's a Miko Pickett agenda. Well, guess what? On these calls, these Mondays with Miko, we're going to talk about the agenda together. People talk about a left wing agenda. Well, I can tell you what I mean, right? So we're going to be talking about that, and it's so interesting. Like, folks on the other side, I don't try to drill into kind of what's in their mind. I don't make up stuff about where they are and what they believe because I'm not in their mind. They don't live in my mind, you know. But on the flip side, people are constantly always trying to make up stuff for me, trying to make up what my agenda is, trying to figure me out. I don't know what there is to figure out. I'm just me. And if we work together, which, Lord, I hope we will, then, it's all about, at the core, I believe that we are stronger together at the end of the day, right? And it's interesting. Hey, how are you, Kelly? And I got to get you on one of my shows coming up, sis. And it's interesting that, I have friends that are Republicans, and we don't disagree on what we want the outcomes to be for citizens of America, citizens of Mullins, citizens of Marion County, citizens of South Carolina. We don't disagree. We want the same positive outcomes for everybody's family. What we disagree on is how we get there. So, and I'm going back into, my New Jersey days, right? And I have one colleague of mine, we should joke all the time after every election, but it was never anything visceral, never everything mean or nasty. But now, and I don't know if it's social media or what, but people are just very hateful. And it doesn't have to be that way. So, with me creating this topic, what's on the agenda, and I'm not going to be able to talk to you about the agenda all today because it's vast. I'm gonna talk about it over the next coming weeks, but it's just going to be facts, right? And if you have a question, ask a question. You can ask a question here on Mondays with Miko, or you can come in when I have my I do town halls bi-monthly. All right. So just the facts. All right. So let's start. Let's just go ahead and start. So I'm going to make this part quick because I want to spend the time on the actual agenda itself. Right. So what's on my agenda? Housing, more quality housing, affordable housing, housing for working families. So there's a difference here, right? So when our children graduate high school, go to college, come back, start their careers, maybe find somebody they fall in love with, want to get married, they need a place to stay. Or single mom, she's working, she needs a place to stay. She's working, she's contributing to the economy. He or she or them or they are contributing to the economy. So why is it that they can't do that here in Mullins? Why is it that they have to go to another city to get housing and contribute to their economies, right? So to me, housing is one of the top on my agenda or our agenda or the agenda that I'm presenting to the community. And one of the things that I learned from going to economic development summits, and I do that, right? So I don't just sit here and make this stuff up. I travel all over the state to figure out who's doing stuff right. What is it that we can graft ourselves into? And one of the main things that they say at economic development summits is rooftops bring retail. We want new businesses. You guys are telling me you want new businesses. You want someplace to shop. You want this and that. Somebody actually put, let's bring an Applebee's to town. We need rooftops. Okay, so rooftops bring retail. Remember that. Jobs and economic development. We're going to talk about that, not today, but in future. This is my sweet spot. We want to bring jobs to Mullins. We've got 3 now abandoned factories. We need to open up those factories, and it needs to be conducive, right? Mullins need to be conducive for those factory owners to want to come here. So how do we do that? We build relationships with businesses and developers. So that's workforce development. That's where, we do things like, and I'm going to say some stuff, and please don't take it to heart, but we got to be real, right? So when I talk about workforce development, what I mean is, yes, we need people to have those soft skills. And, if a employer needs forklift operators, they need to have those skills, or welding, they need to have those skills. But then there's also things like, we need to prepare our workforce. So we need to be having conversations around the dinner table or at the family cookout or at the family reunion about our workers. And say, in South Carolina, cannabis is illegal. So if you smoke cannabis and then you go to a job and get tested, you won't get the job that's going to be paying $20, $25 an hour, right? We want those jobs that are paying $20, $25 an hour. So we have to think about how do we do that? Can we talk to employers and say, hey, look, cannabis is legal in all these other states, right? Can we do 3 months? But at the end of the day, you have to prepare. We got to prepare our citizens for the jobs. And that includes having very difficult conversations. And that is irregardless of where you stand on cannabis, right? But I mean, you could be an alcoholic and they don't test for that. But still, I digress. I'm not gonna go into that conversation. But workforce development is part of jobs and economic development. And when I discuss that, we'll go into it. And I'll talk to you about some of the conversations that I have with people that may come to Mullins, right? About those topics. City beautification, right? Cleaning up our community. I created a plan called Project Phoenix. And over the next few weeks, I'll be sharing with you what Project Phoenix is all about and how that's broken down. That's addressing neglected properties, which is like Terry Davis's bread and butter, helping folks with home repairs. So some of us have lived through multiple storms, and the infrastructure here has caused major damage to our homes. Well, there's programs out there that can help us. Now, we've lost some. I'm going to go back. I'm going to talk about that. So I'm trying not to get into all the details because I want to get to housing today. But, so city beautification is cleaning up the community, Project Phoenix, making Mullins attractive to residents as well as visitors. Then another thing that people ask me, hey, Cynthia had asked me, when I was running is, Mayor, we don't have nothing to do. We have nothing to do. What's the quality of life around here if you have nothing to do? Right? So the prior mayor created Reimagine Mullins. That's for stuff, for things to do. And I'm going to have a whole section that I'm dedicated to that and kind of what's happening and how you can help move some of those things. And then, coming out of the business world, one of the first things that I asked for in becoming mayor is I said, can I get a copy of the strategic plan? Can I get a copy of the 5-year plan, the 10-year plan, the 20-year plan? And there was none. So that's the first thing I did, was to go and create a strategic plan involving the community and the businesses and city council and everybody who wanted to be involved in creating a plan. So again, over these next weeks, we will, after each episode, I'm going to take one topic at a time. So tonight's topic, hello, Diane. Hope you're feeling better, honey. Tonight's topic is housing. And why housing? Housing has been one of my priorities since the very beginning, because rooftops bring retail. Retail brings economic development, right? So you got this whole circular thing of economic development, right? And when I say it's one of the first things that I did, it's one of the first things that I did. I was elected in November of 2024. In December of 2024, I had an experienced builder ready with a plan to present to City Council. So if we're serious about growing Mullins and making Mullins a better place, then we have to be serious about housing. If we want jobs, then we have to be serious about housing. Where will the workers live, right? A lot of our jobs, we have jobs in Marion County that are paying in the high 20s. People are coming from outside of Marion County to get those. We don't want that. We want you to be able to live where you work, right? And when you do that, rooftops bring retail. Businesses, they look at populations, they look at household, they look at customers, they look at future employers, they look at things for their places for their employees to eat lunch, right? All of these things matter. And so that all becomes part of economic development. So when you're talking to people about, hey, you should run for city council, think about their experience and making sure that we are electing people that are going to be able to, that will take the time to read, to listen to you, to show up for you, to come to your events, to have these conversations so that we know what you want. It's very, very important. So let's go back to December of 2024. That's coming up on 2 years now. And I had just begun serving as mayor. And I was presented with a proposal that I wanted to present to City Council, and it was around affordable housing development. Now, let me back this up a little bit. When I say affordable housing development, I'm not talking about housing authority. This is for working families, right? So this is for working families. Now, when you build complexes like this, you do have to have 8% of the homes that are affordable. But that means 92% of the homes are for working families. So I'll give, and the rents are subsidized. So as an example, we were looking at, 2 and 3 bedroom homes, either apartments or townhouses, and the rent was going to be $600 a month. Brand new. right? Brand new. Hello, Pastor Gobbo. Brand new development, $600 a month, 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. It could fit into the budget of seniors. It could fit into the budget of working families. Brand new, right? And so what was proposed, right? If this wasn't simply, I'm gonna go ahead and bring up this proposal here. Let me see. Okay, there we go. So this wasn't simply let's build some apartments, right? This proposal actually presented affordable housing development within the city of Mullins. And the people who came to me with this opportunity for me to then share it with city council, they had built developments all over this country, including in Marion, Dillon, and Johnsonville. And this development was going to be, and I'm gonna talk about economic development. I'm going to break this down. All right. So this was going to be an $8 million potential development, with this builder wanting to be in Mullins, as we got other stuff that we have to address with dilapidated homes and things like that. But you're talking about $8 million to build housing. And then when these houses are built, then it would have been, you would have paid $600 a month for a new home, a beautiful new home nobody else ever lived in before. So one of the things that I asked him straight up is I said, okay, so I'm the new mayor. We need to build economic development. Can we get a commitment? Can you come to city council and commit the city council that you would purchase 20 to 30% of what's needed to build those apartments from within the city limit of Mullins? And they said yes. So let's talk about that. So that would have been $1.6 million right back into our community. Hardware stores, people to do landscaping, people who do cleaning, right? Because when you have constructions going up, you're going to need all kinds of cleaning done. I was told that there was somebody in town that did commercial window purchasing. So all of these people, excavators, right? All of these people, and I was going to make sure as mayor that I held this contractor to the line, that they were going to spend 20 to 30% of what was going to take to build these housing with local resources. Lunch, take them out to lunch, whatever you have to do. Go to the barn, right? If you're going to be staging apartments, go to the barn and go to Sculpt and buy stuff from them and stage it, lobby areas, right? So plan is to be very intentional. And whoever you hire, citizens of Mullins, and I'm saying hire, aka elect, make sure that, I think it's important that I want them to be thinking about me first and foremost, right? So anyway, so rooftops bring retail, right? So we would have had 40 to 48 more homes. Then that would have been that times 2.5 people in each home, maybe 3 people. That would be more new people into our city, or people that were just starting their new life in Mullins, but getting not a handout because they're paying rent, but just getting a leg up, right? So, and let me be clear, the contractors wasn't asking any money from the city. We had some land that was already available, and they wanted a letter of intent, right? So it wasn't like, give us an $8 million check. No, we wasn't going to give no $8 million check. What we was going to do is we was going to receive an $8 million facility. $1.6 million of that was going to be spent within the city limit of Mullins. We were going to hold them accountable for that. Every single person. So if you have 40 homes and each person has 2 cars or 1 car, we would have got additional car tax from that. It just trickles down. Those people would have been eating. There would have been hospitality tax. So if you can, I know I'm talking kind of fast. I don't see a lot of questions. Jump in with questions if you have questions. But you can see that as we work on doing different things in Mullins, it drives other things, right? So we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can do it. All right. So this was what I'm showing you here is the actual proposal that was submitted to City Council. So I'm gonna just go through some things. They talk about, why affordable housing, and they use the term affordable housing, but I don't want anybody to get it confused with low income housing because it's not. It's housing for working families, right? And so, what are the current challenges in housing? Rising property prices, wage cost disparity. I think it's a great way to save money if you didn't have to spend so much on your housing, or if you could have the joy of finally being able to move out of your parents' home because now you can afford it on your own. So this company had lots of experience. They talk about what their experience are and what they did everywhere and who people who they've worked with in the past. They would have wrote all the grants that was needed. They have the governmental policies and support. $8 million. So that's the cost of the development, right? But then all these other things, then this is what we need to be thinking about, right? So when you see us debating a particular topic, a lot of times it's more to it than just what you see on the surface. Okay, so isn't that pretty? So look, they were looking for land access to build approximately 40 townhomes, 2 and 3 bedroom, 2 bath townhomes, an example, or 40 to 48 apartment units. And here's the timeline. So now we're going back to December 2024. So December 2024 was the meeting that I presented. And then January, there would be a follow-up and a request for the letter of intent. And the letter of intent, again, it would have been no requirements of the city, right? No requirements. So say, look, we intend to build housing over there and let's talk about it. And then the application deadline was February, right? So what happened? What happened, y'all? Well, your mayor got a lesson in gridlock. That was one of my first lessons. There's been a whole much more since then, but that was one of my first lessons. Wouldn't even bring it to the table. Wouldn't even bring a motion to have the discussion. It was like nothing. I was confused, right? Like, why wouldn't we discuss this in the public town hall? Right. So that's why, I've always asked you, citizens of Mullins, and no matter where you are, you have to go to your city council meetings, right? And it's not like I'm not trying to do that to be mean to anybody, but what we're doing your work. We have 12 meetings on the agenda. We should be doing this in front of you. We should be having these conversations in front of you, right? So here's the thing. I could respect if somebody would have said to me, well, Mayor, I've looked at the proposal and I've asked my questions because we had a discussion. There was no discussion, y'all. I've asked my questions, I've done my research, and I don't believe this is right for Mullins. We have a vote, it didn't pass. I would have been okay with that. That would have been fine, but that is not what happened. We did not have a discussion. No one asked any questions. Because I brought it to the table, it didn't happen. Well, I want you to know that why am I telling you this? Well, I'm telling you this because I want to make sure over the next several weeks, I'm going to be talking about the agenda. So I'm telling you this so you know what's on the agenda. I'm telling you this so that when people say that I have an agenda, you can know what my agenda is. My agenda is the people's agenda. Speak for yourself. I'm speaking for me. Anybody, the same people who have a whole lot to say on social media, they can hop on this call. They can hop on this live. They can come see me at City Hall. They can come to my town hall meetings if they're citizens of Mullins and they have a vested interest in our community. Open door. But they don't. They choose to work in anonymity. Anonymous comments. My comments are not anonymous. And also, housing is still on my agenda. It's not done. I need people who will work with Terry Davis and I, who will sit down and have conversations. We're not going to agree on everything. Terry and I don't agree on everything, but we have the conversations, because in order to move our city forward, rooftops bring retail. People create demand. Demand attracts investments. And that's what we want for our city. I think so. At least that's what y'all told me you wanted. That's why I ran for office. And that's what I've been attempting to do. But elections have consequences, and this is where you come in. If you want, and I'm going to be going through other things on the agenda, but if you want changes in Mullins, and if you want an agenda that includes housing, helping repair housing, grant writing, all these things that I'm going to be laying out, then you know what? We need to be getting ready to elect some new people, because I don't have to tell you what's happened. You've seen it. So for all the naysayers, that also often talk about, the Miko picket agenda, whatever that is, I'm telling you what it is now. It's time out for all of that. We do not have to have the same political affiliation to work together for the best of Mullins. We do not have to elect the same president to do what's right for the city of Mullins, because we care about the city of Mullins. So there's an election coming up, y'all, and it's up to you. It's up to you. You can send people to city council that are going to work for a stronger together Mullins. So again, over the next, I'm going to have some more shows, and each show, I'm not going to come back to housing unless you guys have a question. But man, y'all would cost us no money at all. $8 million project, $1.6 million spent within the city limit of Mullins. Jobs for people to do work in the housing as it was being developed. $600 rents, brand new places, kids playing playgrounds. It was something really good. And it can happen. It can happen. I'm telling you, it can happen. Alrighty, y'all. I don't have any questions. How about this? How about feedback? Was it okay? I hope that I was able to explain the housing, and there's more on housing. That's just about housing units. When I talk about Project Phoenix, I'm going to talk about tearing down dilapidated housing, which is Terry's Terry's life work, Councilwoman Terry Davis's life work. I'm going to be talking about the housing program where we can repair our own home. So that all is going to come into play when I get to city beautification and Project Phoenix. All right. So I don't see any questions. Hey, Trudy, good to see you. Thank you for watching. Lord willing, I will be back here next Monday at 6:00. And when you see me on the streets, if you have any questions, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ty. If you have any questions, or if you want me to email you a copy of this proposal, hit me up on DM. I'll be happy to email you a copy of this proposal so you can see what was attempted to be presented to City Council. And then let's get some people that we can all work with, okay? Hey, Tamara. Hi, how are you? Good to see you. And y'all have a wonderful, wonderful Monday and a great week. Oh, by the way, we do have a City Council meeting tomorrow. We are interviewing attorneys. So you're going to see, I didn't put it out there for you guys to come, because you can come, but what's going to happen is we're going to open a meeting, go into executive session, interview the attorney, and if any decisions were made, it'll happen in the open session, okay? But it's nothing really for you to see. Most of that work, because it is contractual matters and personnel matters, will be done in executive session. All right, y'all. I'll see you soon. And hopefully my knee is getting stronger and stronger, better every day. I have graduated to a cane, y'all. So I'm now walking with a cane. I'm doing my exercises because I got some stuff I need to do. I got to be out there. All right. Have a good one.